In 1954, Godzilla, an ancient alpha predator, is lured to an island in an attempt to kill him with a nuclear bomb. In 1999, Monarch scientists Ichiro Serizawa and Vivian Graham investigate a giant skeleton unearthed by a collapsed uranium mine in the Philippines. They find two giant spores, one dormant and one hatched, with a trail that leads out of the cave to the sea. In Japan, the Gojira nuclear power plant experiences unusual seismic activity. Supervisor Joe Brody sends his wife Sandra with other technicians into the reactor. A tremor breaches the reactor, leaving Sandra and her team unable to escape while the plant collapses. 15 years later, Joe and Sandra's son Ford, a U.S. Navy explosive ordnance disposal officer, returns from a tour of duty to his wife Elle and young son Sam in San Francisco, but has to immediately depart for Japan after his father Joe is detained for trespassing in the Gojira quarantine zone. Joe is determined to find out the cause of the meltdown, and he persuades Ford to accompany him to their old home to retrieve vital data, but are discovered and taken to a facility in the plant's ruins. The facility harbors a massive glowing chrysalis that had been feeding off the plant's reactors for the past 15 years and emitting stronger electromagnetic pulses over time. A giant winged insect-like creature emerges and escapes, destroying the facility. Joe is severely injured and dies as Ford, Serizawa, and Graham are taken to the USS Saratoga. The incident is reported around the world as an earthquake. Serizawa and Graham join a U.S. Navy task force led by Admiral William Stenz to search for the creature, which they name MUTO, which stands for Massive Unidentified Terrestrial Organism. Serizawa and Graham reveal to Ford that a 1954 deep-sea expedition awakened Godzilla, and nuclear tests in the 1950s were really attempts to kill him, and when this didn't work, Project Monarch was established to secretly study Godzilla and similar monsters. They also reveal that in 1999, the MUTO traveled from the Philippine mine to Gojira and caused the meltdown. Ford reveals that Joe had monitored echolocation signals that indicated the MUTO was communicating with something, presumably Godzilla. The MUTO attacks a Russian submarine and drops it in Hawaii to eat its nuclear material. Godzilla arrives, causing a tsunami in Honolulu, and engages the MUTO in a brief battle until it flees. Serizawa deduces that the MUTO was communicating with something else, prompting the military to investigate the other spore stored in the Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository in Nevada. However, a second, bigger wingless MUTO has emerged and attacks Las Vegas. The scientists deduced that the second MUTO is a female and was the one the male was communicating with, their signals being a mating call. Over the scientists' objections, Stenz approves a plan to use nuclear warheads with more power than the bombs used in the 1950s to lure the monsters to the ocean and destroy them. Returning to the US, Ford joins the team delivering the warheads by train, but the female MUTO intercepts them and devours most of the warheads. The remaining warhead is airlifted with Ford to San Francisco and activated after Godzilla appears at the Golden Gate Bridge, but the male MUTO snatches it and takes it to the female, who forms a nest around it in the Chinatown area. While Godzilla and the MUTOs battle, Ford and the strike team enter the city via Halo Jump to find and disarm the warhead. Unable to access the timer, the team gets the warhead on a boat for disposal at sea. Ford blows up the MUTO nest, distracting the MUTOs enough to allow Godzilla to emerge victorious in the end, after which he collapses on the shore. With the team killed by the female MUTO, Ford gets the boat out to sea before falling unconscious. He is rescued before the warhead explodes and reunites with his family at an emergency shelter the following morning. Godzilla suddenly awakens and returns to the sea, with the media hailing him as King of the Monsters, savior of our city.